Screams echoed across the dimly lit university courtyard as security officers sprinted toward the old abandoned lecture hall, one that students whispered about but never dared to enter at night. The doors shook violently from the inside, and deep rhythmic chanting thundered through the cracks. Candles glowed in a strange circle on the dusty floor, forming a blazing symbol only cult initiates understood. Outside, dozens of terrified students gathered, trembling, confused, and clutching one another. Then the door swung open, and standing at the center of the entrance was Nadia. Quiet, gentle, consistently modest Nadia, the one everyone trusted. A 23-year-old with caramel skin, always wearing long loose gowns, covered hair, no earrings, no makeup. The girl lecturers praised for purity and female students admired for her unproblematic lifestyle. But tonight, she wore something different: black trousers, a dark fitted top, her head uncovered for the first time, revealing thick curly hair falling around her face. Her eyes were cold, sharp, fearless. Behind her stood masked figures, students from different departments kneeling, bowing their heads as though she were their queen. Gasps erupted, some fainted. Someone whispered, "Nadia, no, that can't be Nadia." Another voice trembled, "She's the head of the group." Security froze when they saw her. Even the chief guard stepped back. Nadia's lips curved into the smallest, most chilling smile, the kind that made every observer's blood run cold. "Leave," she said softly, but with the authority of a commander. No one moved. Her expression hardened. "I said leave." Then one of the masked members dragged something forward, the struggling form of a student wrapped in rope, begging, crying. The campus erupted into total panic. A lecturer shouted, "Call the vice-chancellor, call the police, Nadia is leading them." But the moment his words left his mouth, Nadia snapped her fingers, and the masked members circled him instantly. In a voice deep and commanding, she declared, "Tonight is not the beginning, tonight is not even the end. This," she pointed to the terrified faces in the crowd, "is the consequence of trusting appearances." Before anyone could flee, bright headlights cut through the courtyard. A police van screeched to a halt. Officers jumped out, weapons raised. Nadia didn't flinch. Instead, she lifted her chin slowly, as though she had expected them. "On your knees," an officer shouted. But Nadia stepped forward, and the candles inside the hall suddenly extinguished themselves as if responding to her presence. A strange wind surged across the campus, tossing papers, bending trees, and scattering dust. The officers exchanged confused glances. Nadia whispered something barely audible. Her followers whispered it back. Then, a shot rang out. Students screamed. Security ducked. The masked members surged forward. And Nadia vanished into the dark hall as though swallowed by shadows. The police stormed after her, but the moment they entered, the whole building shook and a loud cracking sound tore through the night. Students scattered, running in every direction. And then, every single light on campus went out. Darkness swallowed the entire university. A scream rose from inside the hall. A scream that sounded nothing like a human voice. And that was when everyone realized. They didn't really know who Nadia was. Not even close. Just before the roof groaned as if about to collapse, a frightened student cried out. "She fooled us all, even the management. How did we never see it?" The hall doors slammed shut on their own, trapping the police inside. And as panic consumed the campus, a cold whisper drifted from the darkness behind the building. "You still think I dress in modesty to please you?" A silhouette appeared behind the bushes. Nadia's silhouette. Though she had been inside the hall seconds before. She placed a single finger over her lips, signaling silence. Then disappeared again. And right when a group of students gathered the courage to approach the hall one more time, something inside moved. Something big. Something fast. The door creaked open again. And standing at the threshold was not Nadia, but someone wearing her modest clothes, her gown, her headscarf. Only the face under the scarf wasn't human at all. The figure standing at the doorway wore Nadia's familiar modest gown and neatly tied headscarf, the same one she normally used to cover every strand of her hair. But the face beneath the scarf, long, stretched, twisted, didn't belong to any human. The eyes glowed faintly, cold and empty, and the mouth hung open in a way that made every student freeze on the spot. Security officers who had been bravely shouting moments before now backed away, stumbling over themselves. What is that?" one whispered. No one answered. The creature stepped forward slowly, one foot dragging, the other tapping sharply like a warning. But before it could come closer, the hall behind it rumbled once more. A deep crack raced across the old building's structure and dust fell from the ceiling like rain. Students screamed and sprinted in every direction. The creature let out a hollow hiss and turned its head sharply as if searching for someone. A student muttered tremblingly, "This isn't a cult, this is something else entirely." But the truth was far simpler. Nadia had planned every step. And this was only the beginning. Hours earlier, before the chaos, before the screams, before the building trembled, campus daylight painted a very different picture. Nadia sat alone under a large almond tree beside Queen's Hall, reading quietly. She wore her usual long, flowy brown gown, sandals, and a cream-colored scarf that covered her head perfectly, no earrings, no makeup, just simplicity. Passing students waved at her, smiling warmly. "Nadia, good morning." "Nadia, your dress is always so decent. You're really the kind of girl others should look up to." She returned a gentle smile each time, lowering her eyes humbly like a saint. Inside her bag, hidden under the pages of her notebook, rested a small black badge engraved with a symbol no one on campus would dare imagine she owned. The badge glowed faintly beneath the afternoon light. A sign. A call. A reminder. She closed the bag softly. Behind her, two girls hurried toward class, giggling. One whispered, "Nadia is probably the only girl on campus who doesn't wear earrings or makeup. So gentle, so innocent." The other added, "Management trusts her. She's even allowed in offices other students can't enter." A smile tugged Nadia's lips, small but dangerous. They had no idea. Later that day, Nadia walked across campus, blending in beautifully with the peaceful atmosphere. Birds sang, students hurried to lectures, and the security guards greeted her with unusual respect. "Good afternoon, Sister Nadia," one of them said. She nodded softly and kept walking. But as soon as she reached the back of the engineering building, her entire demeanor changed. Gone was the soft smile. Gone was the gentle posture. Her expression sharpened, eyes transforming from warm to icy. She glanced around quickly. No one nearby. She tapped her foot on the ground twice. A whistle echoed from behind the generator house. From the shadows emerged 6 students, hoodies, gloves, black masks covering half their faces. Their energy was nothing like the peaceful campus air. One of them bowed his head slightly. "Leader." Nadia folded her arms. "Report." "The vice-chancellor will be at the abandoned hall tonight for inspection," the tallest whispered. "Security will follow, the time is perfect." Nadia breathed out slowly, satisfied. "And the new recruit?" she asked. "In the hall now, preparing." Her eyes glowed with something dark. A power she kept hidden under long gowns and covered hair. "Good," she said, "tonight everything changes." The members exchanged uneasy glances, even they feared her. "And leader," another whispered, "what about the decoy?" Nadia smirked faintly. "Already handled. When the moment comes, no one will know where I am." By evening, she had returned to her modest disguise, books in hand, scarf neat, sleeves pulled low, and students greeted her as usual. "Nadia, are you coming to fellowship tonight?" "Not today," she replied softly. "I have a test to prepare for." "A lie." And the girl who asked smiled, completely unaware of the storm gathering. Back in the present, the creature in Nadia's gown suddenly dropped to its knees, shaking violently as if something inside it fought for control. The scarf slipped off slightly, revealing more of the unnatural, stretched skin. A security guard fired a warning shot into the air. The creature snapped its head up instantly. Every student gasped. It wasn't afraid of gunfire. It wasn't afraid of anything. And just as it prepared to rush forward, a cold voice echoed from behind the hall. "Leave it." Heads whipped around. Nadia stepped out of the shadows. Now in her black outfit again. Every trace of modesty gone. Gasps exploded everywhere. "How is she here and also there?" a student cried, pointing at the creature. The creature turned slowly toward Nadia, as though waiting for an order. Nadia lifted her hands slightly. But before she could speak, a blinding flash burst from the hall and the building shook so violently that everyone dropped to the ground. Bricks cracked, windows shattered, and something massive inside struck the walls. The creature shrieked and collapsed. Nadia's eyes widened not in fear, but in anger. "No," she whispered, "this was not supposed to happen." A second flash erupted. The ground trembled. Students scrambled to their feet. "What's happening?" Someone called the army. And then, the hall doors burst open a final time. Something stepped out. Something wearing a mask. But not one of Nadia's members. Nadia whispered, stunned. "It can't be." The masked figure stepped out of the collapsing hall with slow, deliberate footsteps, each step landing with a heavy echo that made the courtyard vibrate. Dust swirled around its feet as if the building itself pushed the intruder forward. Nadia stiffened. Her followers shrank behind her like frightened children. Even the security officers, guns raised, looked confused. This wasn't part of any known group on campus. The mask was rough, carved from wood, painted with ancient tribal markings, the kind rarely seen outside certain forbidden traditions. The figure stopped at the entrance, lifted its head, and fixed its painted eyes directly on Nadia. "Nadia of the Hidden Circle," the voice boomed, low, distorted, unnatural. "Your reign ends tonight." Gasps filled the air. A lecturer stumbled backward. "Hidden Circle, that's the cult management denied existed." Students around him trembled. They had heard rumors, stories whispered late at night, but never believed them, not until now. Nadia's confident expression cracked for the first time. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, voice sharp, cold, and trembling with restrained anger. "This territory is mine." The masked intruder ignored her and looked instead at the fallen creature wearing Nadia's modest clothes. It lay motionless, the scarf half off, revealing its monstrous features. "Using illusions now," the masked figure mocked, "pretending twice so no one sees you for what you are." Nadia's jaw tightened. "You don't belong here." "Oh, but I do," the figure chuckled darkly. "Someone on campus finally grew brave enough to report you not to the police but to us." Whispers exploded instantly. Someone reported Nadia. Someone knew. Someone had been watching. A girl near the front whispered, who reported her, who knew she was the head. But her friend shook her head, eyes wide. "No one knew, that's the problem." The masked intruder continued, voice booming through the courtyard. "You hid behind long gowns, behind your quiet voice, behind your innocence. You fooled students, you fooled staff, you fooled even the vice-chancellor." The figure tilted its head. "But you did not fool us." Nadia's fists clenched tightly, her nails digging into her palms. She inhaled slowly and stepped forward. And with every step she took, her followers behind her lifted their heads again. Their fear slowly faded, replaced with loyalty, dangerous loyalty. The masked intruder drew a small, ancient-looking staff from beneath its cloak. The ground under Nadia's feet cracked. Students screamed and scrambled back. A burst of energy shot between the masked intruder and Nadia, an invisible line of force pushing air outward. "What is that?" a security guard yelled, ducking behind a car. The masked intruder raised the staff higher. "Nadia, child of deception, your disguise ends tonight." Without warning, the staff struck the ground. A shockwave blasted across the courtyard, knocking students off their feet, shattering several windows, and extinguishing the remaining lights on campus. Nadia flew backward, hitting the side of a fountain. Her black clothes were smeared with dust, but her eyes burned with fury. "You think you can challenge me here?" she hissed. The masked intruder raised the staff again, but Nadia stood instantly, faster than the human eye could track. Her followers gasped. "She's using her power right in the open. She doesn't care anymore." Nadia spread her arms slowly. And every candle inside the hall relit itself. The flames rose unnaturally high, 2 feet tall, swaying like living creatures. The masked figure paused. Just a moment. But Nadia seized that moment. She flicked her wrist sharply. The candle's flames shot outward like golden whips, slicing through the air, targeting the masked intruder. The impact threw the intruder across the courtyard. Students screamed and jumped out of the way as the body slammed into the concrete path, rolling violently. Nadia stalked forward. No smile. No disguise. No modesty. Only the truth. The nightmare the entire campus had unknowingly been living beside. You came for a fight, she muttered, but you are not prepared for me. Her followers stepped beside her once again, forming a tight formation. Security officers pointed guns shakily. Stand down, everyone stand down. Nadia ignored them completely. But before she could reach the masked intruder, the staff on the ground pulsed. A blinding blue light shot upward. It pierced the sky like lightning. The campus wind stopped. The trees froze. Even the air felt trapped, silent still. Nadia halted mid-step. The masked intruder rose slowly, as if lifted by invisible hands. The painted wooden mask tilted upward, revealing only darkness behind it. The one who reported you, the figure said, is closer than you think. Nadia's eyes widened. Just as a familiar voice echoed from behind the students. She's right behind you. Everyone turned. Standing at the back of the crowd, a student stepped forward. Someone Nadia trusted. Someone always close to her. Someone no one suspected. And when this student removed their hood, revealing their face, the entire crowd gasped again. Even Nadia stumbled back, stunned. You, she whispered. You reported me. The student stared at her with calm, fearless eyes. Nadia, this ends tonight. For a long moment, no one moved. The campus courtyard felt frozen in time as students stared at the person who had stepped forward, the one Nadia trusted, the one always seen beside her, the one no one ever suspected. It was Daniel. A quiet, respectful third-year student with dark chestnut skin, always polite, always holding the door for others, always seen studying under the same almond tree where Nadia liked to sit. Daniel had been her closest friend, the one everyone assumed she guided spiritually because of her modest ways. Nadia's entire face tightened with disbelief. Daniel, she whispered, her voice cracking slightly for the first time, you reported me, you of all people. Daniel didn't answer immediately. He stared at her with a mixture of regret and determination, two emotions that didn't belong together but somehow lived in his eyes right now. I had to, he finally said. You crossed a line, Nadia, a line even you shouldn't have crossed. Gasps rippled across the crowd. Some students whispered. Daniel, but he was always with her. He defended her so many times. I thought he liked her, really liked her. Nadia blinked slowly, her chest rose and fell not with fear but with something darker. You betrayed me, she whispered. Daniel shook his head. You betrayed everyone, and you used me just like you used the rest of them. Her jaw clenched. The masked intruder stepped forward again, staff glowing brighter now. He didn't just report you, Nadia, the figure said, he asked for your downfall. Students gasped again. Daniel didn't flinch. And that's when Nadia's mask, her emotional mask, finally dropped. Her voice was no longer calm, no longer controlled. You think you know everything, Daniel. You think because you saw one meeting, one file, one ritual that you understand the purpose. Daniel lifted his chin. I know enough. Nadia laughed, a sharp, frightening laugh that sliced through the night. You know nothing. The candles inside the hall surged again, glowing bright orange. Nadia turned her glare toward the masked intruder. You brought this outsider into my territory, she said. It became my duty, the figure replied, once Daniel revealed how far you've gone. And you believed him, Nadia asked coldly. No, the intruder said. Daniel stiffened. Nadia's eyes narrowed. I believed the evidence hidden in your room. Nadia froze. Her followers gasped. Daniel stepped forward again, his voice steady. We found everything you tried to hide, your symbols, your markings, your plans for tonight, all of it. Nadia stared at him, stunned, not because she feared exposure but because she realized something far more dangerous. Daniel had access to her room. He knew where she kept her secrets. He had been close enough to learn everything. Which meant he had been pretending too. Her lips curled slowly. So you're not the quiet, innocent boy you pretend to be, she said. Daniel didn't deny it. The masked intruder lifted the ancient staff higher. The glowing blue energy around it intensified, swirling like a storm. Students backed away from the force. Security shouted again, but their voices were drowned out by the rising wind. Nadia's followers formed a tight wall around her, ready to strike. But Daniel raised his hand, and the wind stopped instantly. The courtyard fell silent again. Nadia stared at him. Something had just shifted, something she hadn't predicted. "Daniel," she whispered, "what exactly are you?" Daniel stepped forward, and when he did, the masked intruder bowed its head slightly as though acknowledging his authority. Students gasped again. Nadia's heart pounded not with fear but with something she never felt before. Uncertainty. Daniel's voice cut through the tension. "I didn't just report you, Nadia." He paused. "I've been hunting you." Shock exploded across the campus. "Hunting? For how long? What is going on?" Daniel held Nadia's gaze. "For 2 years," he said quietly. Nadia actually stepped back this time. 2 years. He had been beside her for 2 years. Helping her. Laughing with her. Walking with her. Watching her. And planning her fall. The masked intruder tapped the staff on the ground, releasing a pulse of energy that rippled across the courtyard and made the creature in Nadia's modest clothes dissolve into ash. The message was clear. Daniel wasn't working alone. And whoever he was working with, they were stronger than Nadia thought. Nadia inhaled deeply, regaining her composure. Then she smiled slowly, chillingly. "So this is your big plan, Daniel. Expose me, stop me." She tilted her head. "You think you can end what I started?" Daniel didn't blink. "Yes." Nadia laughed softly. "And what if I told you," she whispered, "that tonight was never about me being caught?" Daniel's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" Nadia lifted her hands in a slow, graceful motion. And then, the ground beneath the courtyard cracked open. Students screamed and ran. Security officers scattered. Daniel shielded his eyes from flying dust. The masked intruder raised the staff defensively. But Nadia simply stood there, smiling calmly as the earth trembled beneath her feet. "Tonight," she said, her voice soft but terrifying, "you are not stopping anything." The crack widened. A deep roar, something ancient, echoed from beneath. Nadia's smile grew. "You are too late." The courtyard floor exploded upward, and something massive began to rise from beneath the campus. The ground split open like a wounded beast, spraying dirt and broken concrete into the air. Students screamed and scattered in every direction, stumbling over benches and abandoned bags as they fled the courtyard. Security officers dropped their flashlights, their boots scraping against the pavement as they struggled to regain balance. A deep, ancient roar thundered beneath the earth, so loud, so heavy it vibrated inside every chest. It wasn't a human sound, it wasn't an animal sound, it was something entirely different, something that felt alive and angry. Daniel clenched his fists. The masked intruder tightened its grip on the glowing staff. Nadia stood at the center of the chaos, smiling like she had already won. Chunks of the courtyard collapsed inward, forming a wide crater. A pulse of red energy shot upward from the hole, fierce, blinding, and hot like fire. Students shrieked and covered their eyes. Daniel shouted over the wind, "Nadia, what did you do?" She wiped dust from her cheek, her smile growing sharper. "What I've been preparing for 2 years." Daniel's heart dropped. 2 years. Exactly the same amount of time he had been observing her. She looked right at him. "We've been watching each other, Daniel, but only one of us understood the real war happening here." The ground roared again. And then, a giant black hand burst through the surface. Long sharp claws. Scaly skin. Glowing red markings. Students screamed and ran farther, some collapsing from shock. The hand gripped the edge of the crater, cracking the tiles beneath it. Daniel's eyes widened. "No, Nadia, tell me you didn't awaken it." She lifted her chin proudly. "I did, and you were too late to stop me." The masked intruder slammed the staff onto the ground, sending a blue shockwave toward the crater. The giant hand recoiled slightly, but not enough. Nadia laughed, tossing her hair back. "That won't stop it, not tonight." Daniel stepped forward, jaw tight. "What exactly are you trying to unleash?" Nadia turned toward him, her eyes glowing a faint, unnatural red. "The guardian below." Daniel froze. Students whispered in terror. "I've heard that name. It's just a myth. It can't be real." What does she want with it? But Nadia heard them and answered with a chilling calmness. It is older than this campus, older than this city, older than all of us combined. She faced Daniel again. And once it rises, nothing, not police, not the management, not even your little secret organization can stop it. The masked intruder swung the staff again, sending blue bolts of energy toward the crater. The bolts struck the hand, but instead of injuring it, the creature roared angrily and dug its claws deeper, pulling more of itself upward. Nadia whispered almost tenderly, "Rise." Another massive hand emerged. Daniel swallowed hard. He knew the legends. He knew what the guardian below could do if awakened. He knew the destruction it brought in ancient records. And Nadia had just released it underneath a university campus. He turned sharply to her. Why do this? What did these students ever do to you? Nadia's eyes softened, not kindly but painfully. They did nothing, that's the point. I never wanted students, I never wanted staff, I never wanted power over classrooms and offices. She inhaled deeply. I wanted the circle, I wanted the truth buried beneath this ground, and now, she said gently, I will have it. Daniel felt something twist inside him. For the first time, he wasn't just hunting her. He understood her motive. The Guardian's enormous shoulders emerged next, sending tremors through the entire courtyard. Trees shook violently, benches flipped over, streetlights flickered. Daniel shouted to the masked intruder, "We need to stop it before it fully emerges." The intruder nodded but kept its attention on Nadia. Her power is tied to it, as long as she stands it rises. Daniel hesitated only a moment. Then he faced Nadia. Nadia, don't make me do this. She tilted her head in genuine curiosity. Do what? Daniel's fists tightened. He stepped forward. Nadia stepped forward too. The masked intruder raised the staff, ready for anything. Students held their breath. And then, the guardian below let out a deafening roar as its head finally emerged, massive and covered in ancient markings. Its eyes glowed like burning coals sweeping across the terrified campus. Daniel shouted, Nadia, stop this. She whispered softly, almost lovingly. I can't. She lifted her hands. A red glow surrounded her. The guardian's eyes glowed brighter. The masked intruder slammed the staff down. But before the blow could land on Nadia, a powerful wave of red energy blasted outward from her body, throwing Daniel, the intruder, and everyone else backward like rag dolls. The wind howled. The earth trembled. Lights exploded. Students wept and ran. And in the middle of the storm, Nadia hovered above the ground, her scarf blowing wildly, her hair rising, her black clothes glowing with red symbols. She opened her eyes flaming red and declared, Tonight I rise with it. The guardian roared louder. The crack widened. The campus shook harder. Daniel groaned, trying to push himself up. Nadia, please. But Nadia didn't even look at him. She lifted both hands toward the monster emerging beneath her feet. And the guardian obeyed.
If this story is already touching your heart, please take 1 second to like this video, subscribe to Black Race Tailies, and turn on notifications. Your support helps us keep telling these powerful African and Black community stories to the world.
The guardian below heaved itself higher from the crater, its colossal torso now fully above ground. Flames of red energy pulsed across its body like molten veins, casting a terrifying glow over the entire university. Students who hadn't already fled screamed again as the creature's massive shadow stretched across the courtyard like a looming storm. Daniel stumbled to his feet, coughing through the dust. His ears rang from the blast Nadia released. The masked intruder rose more slowly, gripping the glowing blue staff as though holding onto the last piece of hope left on campus. Nadia, Daniel shouted over the roar of the guardian, you don't understand what you're doing, it destroys everything. Nadia hovered above the ground, eyes blazing red, hair floating like she stood in a storm only she could feel. Her black clothes glowed with the same markings that covered the guardian, confirming what Daniel already dreaded. She was connected to it now. Too deeply. She turned her head toward Daniel, her voice calm but impossibly loud. I understand exactly what I'm doing, you're the one who doesn't know the truth. The Guardian jerked violently, shaking off chunks of dirt and concrete. Its roar shattered several windows and car alarms blared everywhere. Students raced toward the campus gates, screaming for help, calling parents, praying out loud. Security officers had long abandoned any sense of bravery. The masked intruder steadied their staff. If we don't break her connection now, she'll merge with it, and then. I know, Daniel said sharply. The intruder's voice dropped. You're the only one who can reach her. Daniel swallowed hard. He didn't want to believe it, but deep down he knew it was true. Nadia would never listen to the intruder. She would never listen to the police. She wouldn't listen to any authority on campus. But she might listen to him. The one person she had allowed close. The one person she had trusted enough to let near her secrets. He stepped forward. Nadia, he called again, please, if there's anything between us at all, anything, don't do this. Her eyes flickered briefly. The smallest, quickest movement. But he saw it. Emotion. Pain. Memory. Then she hardened again. There was never anything between us, she said. But Daniel didn't believe it. He heard the hesitation. He felt the crack in her voice. Nadia, then why did you let me stay close for 2 years? He pressed gently. The Guardian roared again, louder, forcing Daniel to steady himself. Nadia's voice rose with the wind. Because I had to, she said, because you were the threat I couldn't understand. Daniel's breath caught. Threat. You think I was watching you, she continued, but the truth is. Her eyes darkened. I was afraid of you. A shiver ran through Daniel. Afraid of him. Nadia, the head of the hidden circle, the girl powerful enough to summon a monster. Afraid of him. The masked intruder shouted, Daniel, keep her talking, she's trying to merge with it fully. But Daniel didn't need the warning. He stepped closer again. Nadia, he said quietly, tell me the truth, all of it. Why do this? What do you gain from destroying the university? Nadia looked at him, jaw tight. Then her expression softened. Not lovingly, but mournfully. This campus is built on lies, she said. They think they can hide what happened 20 years ago. They think they can bury the truth under new buildings and new management. Daniel froze. His chest tightened. What truth? He whispered. Nadia took a breath. Then she dropped the bombshell. My mother, she said softly. She was the one who tried to bind the Guardian below 20 years ago. She closed her eyes briefly. And the university let her die for it. Daniel felt the air leave his lungs. Her mother. The Guardian. A cover-up. The masked intruder's grip on the staff loosened slightly as the pieces began to make sense. Nadia continued, voice trembling with rage she'd hidden for years. They used her, they promised to protect her, they said she would not be alone, but when things went wrong they blamed her, they erased her, they buried what happened, they pretended she never existed. The Guardian roared again, responding to Nadia's rising fury. Daniel's heart ached, not just from fear but from understanding. So you're doing this because of her? Nadia's eyes glistened briefly before hardening again. This campus took everything from me, from my family, so tonight I take everything back. Daniel shook his head slowly. Nadia, revenge won't bring her back. No, she whispered, but it will make them pay. Suddenly, the Guardian slammed a massive fist into the ground, sending shockwaves across the courtyard. Students who had been watching from afar screamed and ran again. The masked intruder raised the staff. We can't wait anymore, Daniel, move. But Daniel didn't move. His eyes remained locked on Nadia. Nadia, he said softly, your mother wouldn't want this. Her head jerked sharply. Don't speak about her, Nadia snapped, you don't know anything. I know she tried to protect people, Daniel said. I know she died trying to stop the Guardian, not release it. Nadia faltered. Just for a moment. Her glow flickered. Her eyes dimmed slightly. Her breath hitched. Daniel took one more step. Let me help you, he whispered. Please. But then, the Guardian roared so loudly that the entire courtyard trembled violently. Students screamed, lights burst, cars shook. And Nadia's aura surged again, stronger, brighter, angrier. She looked at Daniel with heartbreaking resolve. There is no helping me. She lifted her palm toward the Guardian. Tonight, Daniel, is the night you lose. A blast of red energy shot from her toward him. The masked intruder screamed, "Daniel, move." Daniel spun, but the explosion hit the ground beneath his feet, sending him flying across the courtyard. He crashed hard, rolling until he stopped near the broken fountain. The world blurred. Lights flickered. Voices faded. And just before he lost consciousness, he saw the Guardian raise its massive arm again. And Nadia smiling in triumph. Daniel lay motionless beside the shattered fountain, dust settling around him like a thin blanket. His ears rang from the explosion and every breath hurt his ribs. For a moment he couldn't tell if he was awake or drifting in and out of darkness. The Guardian below lifted its enormous arm again, preparing to slam it into the ground, exactly where Daniel had fallen. Students screamed in horror from a distance. The masked intruder, desperate, plunged the glowing staff into the earth, sending a shield of blue energy across the courtyard. The barrier erupted just in time, blocking the Guardian's devastating blow. The ground cracked deeply beneath the force, but Daniel was spared by inches. The intruder groaned, nearly collapsing. "That's my last shield," they gasped. "We don't get another one." The Guardian roared angrily, pulling its arm back as red fire rippled across its skin. High above the cracked courtyard, Nadia hovered like a dark angel, her long black outfit whipping wildly in the supernatural wind, her caramel skin glowing with red runes. Her eyes were no longer human, they burned with a furious light. She floated down slowly until she hung right above the Guardian's head, and when she raised both hands, the monster lifted its arms in perfect synchronization. She was controlling it now. Fully. Completely. Chaos tore through the university, buildings shook, roofs rattled, sirens wailed in the distance, students sprinted and tripped and cried as they fled through the gates. Daniel finally forced himself up onto his elbows, gasping for air. His vision blurred, then sharpened again as he focused on Nadia's silhouette. He whispered painfully, "Nadia, please stop." She heard him because she turned her head slightly, even though she never moved her body. The expression she wore wasn't hatred anymore, it was emptiness, like she had abandoned the last pieces of herself. Then she looked away. The Guardian roared. A punch of wind blew across campus. The intruder took a defensive stance. Daniel struggled to his feet, though his legs shook violently. He wasn't just injured. He was weakened far beyond anything physical. But he couldn't stop now. He stumbled forward. "And Nadia," he croaked. She didn't turn this time. Daniel forced his voice louder. "Nadia, think about your mother." The Guardian froze mid-roar. Her mother. The one word that always cracked her armor. Nadia's body trembled in the air. Daniel saw it. The intruder saw it. Even the Guardian sensed it. "You don't know her," Nadia said weakly, her voice trembling against her will. Daniel's voice softened, though every word burned his throat. "I know she wasn't a murderer." Nadia flinched. "I know she tried to stop this creature 20 years ago, not control it." Nadia's eyes dimmed, the red glow flickered. Daniel took another shaky step. "And I know she didn't die for revenge, Nadia, she died to prevent exactly this." "No," Nadia whispered, shaking her head. "No, Daniel, stop." "She died saving people," Daniel pushed, "not destroying them." Nadia's face crumpled, her breath hitching as memories she had buried for years resurfaced. The Guardian howled restlessly beneath her, its body flickering between solid and unstable. Daniel took the final step he could. "If your mother could see you right now, would she be proud of you?" It struck her like lightning. Nadia gasped, clutching her chest as though someone had stabbed her. Her glow flickered wildly, breaking in uneven pulses. She was alone when she died," Nadia cried out. "She reached out for help and nobody came." Daniel shook his head painfully. "That's not true." Nadia froze midair. Daniel continued, voice trembling but firm. "I read the files, the secret ones, the ones the university hid. She wasn't alone." Nadia's heart pounded. Her lip trembled. Her eyes widened in fear. Daniel said the words she never expected to hear. "She died holding someone's hand." Silence. Even the Guardian stopped moving. Nadia's voice broke. "Whose?" Daniel exhaled shakily. "Your mother died holding your father's hand, Nadia." Her entire body went numb. He wasn't running away, Daniel said. He wasn't hiding, he wasn't afraid of her, he stayed with her until her last breath. Tears filled Nadia's red glowing eyes. And no, I was told he abandoned her. No, Daniel whispered, your father fought to save her, and when he couldn't, he begged them to keep you safe. A tear slid down Nadia's cheek. Her glowing aura sputtered. No, she whispered brokenly. If that's true, then everything I've done, everything I've been fighting for. Daniel nodded painfully. Yes, Nadia, you've been fighting the wrong enemy. Nadia's knees buckled. She dropped several feet in the air, the guardian beneath her rumbling uncertainly as their connection wavered. Her breathing quickened. Her hands shook violently. No, 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 no. She looked down at her own glowing palms. What have I done? The guardian below roared again, this time in agony, because Nadia's grip on it was breaking. Daniel shouted desperately, Nadia, you can still stop it, you can still undo this. Nadia closed her eyes, sobbing. I don't know how. The masked intruder stepped forward. You have to break the bond. Sever the tie before the creature becomes fully conscious. Nadia panicked. Her power crackled uncontrollably around her. The sky turned red, then blue, then black. I don't know how to let go, she cried. Daniel pushed himself closer, despite the wind trying to knock him down. You do, he said softly. He stretched his hand toward her. You've always known. Nadia stared at his outstretched hand. The same hand that comforted her for 2 years. The same hand she almost trusted. The same hand that now shook from pain and exhaustion. Slowly trembling, Nadia reached her hand toward his. But before their fingers touched, a violent surge erupted from the guardian, knocking Nadia upward like a rag doll. She screamed. Daniel screamed her name. The intruder slammed the staff into the ground, trying to stabilize the energy. But it was too late. The guardian roared one final time, louder than anything before. And the connection snapped. Nadia's body dropped from the sky, straight into the crater. Daniel sprinted forward. Nadia. Dust shot upward. The guardian's body began collapsing inward, losing its form, its energy spiraling violently. Students screamed as Daniel reached the edge of the crater and looked down. Nadia lay unconscious on a ledge below, her glow finally fading. But beneath her, the guardian below was reforming. Growing. Reawakening. This time without her control. Daniel's heart dropped. Oh no. The crater rumbled like a living volcano preparing to erupt. Stones rolled down the cracked edges as Daniel stared into the hole in horror. Nadia lay unconscious on a narrow ledge several feet down, her modest disguise gone, her black clothing torn, her scarf missing, her curly hair hanging loosely around her face. But beneath her, the guardian below was changing. Its huge body twisted, shrinking and reshaping itself into a more compact, more dangerous form. The red markings across its skin pulsed rapidly as if it were charging up for something catastrophic. The masked intruder stumbled to Daniel's side, gripping the glowing staff. It's unstable. Without her control, it's reverting to its original purpose. Daniel swallowed hard, already knowing what that meant. What purpose? The intruder looked at him with grave finality. Destruction. Another roar exploded from within the crater, sending a shockwave across the courtyard. Daniel fell to his knees, gripping the edge as the guardian's red eyes snapped open, wilder, brighter, and more aware than before. Students far away screamed. Distant sirens wailed. The entire campus trembled. Daniel forced himself upright. He couldn't abandon Nadia. Not now. Not like this. He took a deep breath, backed up several steps. Then he leaped into the crater. Daniel, the masked intruder, screamed. He slid down the rocky slope, scraping his hands and knees, but he didn't stop. He grabbed protruding stones, swung around broken edges, and finally reached the ledge where Nadia lay crumpled. Her chest rose and fell weakly. She was alive, but barely. Nadia, he gasped, grabbing her shoulders. Wake up, you have to wake up. She didn't respond. The guardian below roared again, shaking dust down onto them. Daniel cupped her face, his voice breaking. Nadia, please, I can't do this without you. Her eyelids fluttered. A faint groan escaped her lips. Daniel exhaled shakily. That's it, stay with me. She opened her eyes halfway, her natural brown eyes no longer glowing red with power. She blinked slowly at him, confused and weak. Daniel, she whispered. He nodded quickly. Yes, I'm here. Nadia, listen to me. Without your link, the Guardian is waking up on its own. If we don't stop it, it will destroy everyone. Nadia's expression twisted with guilt and fear. I didn't mean for this to happen. Daniel held her tighter, then help me stop it. Her breathing quickened as she looked down. The Guardian's body was now fully reshaped, smaller but radiating fierce energy. It dug its claws into the walls of the crater, preparing to climb out. Nadia shook her head desperately. I can't control it anymore, the bond is broken. Daniel didn't blink. Then create a new one. She stared at him, terrified. Daniel, a new bond will kill me. Daniel swallowed hard. But if you don't, it will kill everyone else. Nadia's hands trembled. She was exhausted, terrified, emotionally shattered. For the first time since the story began, she wasn't the powerful figure everyone feared. She was just a girl. A girl crushed by her past. A girl trying to fix her mother's mistakes. A girl who didn't want anyone else to die. Her voice cracked. Daniel, I don't want to die. Daniel cupped her face gently. I know, but I also know you're stronger than you think. She closed her eyes, shaking. I'm scared, she whispered. Daniel's voice softened into something almost tender. It's okay to be scared, but don't let that fear become your legacy. Nadia opened her eyes again. This time there was no red glow. Only clarity. Slowly, painfully, she pushed herself upright. The ground shook violently as the Guardian below began climbing. Its claws dug into the rock, each movement more powerful than the last. Daniel studied Nadia as she stood. She looked down at the Guardian, her expression filled with sorrow, anger, grief, and determination all at once. I'll do it, she whispered. But I need your help. Daniel nodded instantly. Tell me what to do. She reached for his hand. The moment their fingers touched, red and blue sparks crackled around them, the energy from Nadia mixing with the power of the masked intruder's organization still lingering around Daniel. Nadia gasped, Daniel, your energy, why didn't you tell me you had? We don't have time, he said, let's finish this. Nadia nodded, gripping his hand tightly. Then she jumped. Daniel jumped with her. They fell toward the Guardian below. Energy swirling around their bodies. Red and blue merging into a blinding purple light. The Guardian roared and raised its claws. Nadia screamed, unleashing everything inside her. A torrent of purple energy exploded outward, filling the crater like a rising sun. The Guardian shrieked, its body disintegrating piece by piece as the blast tore through it. Daniel screamed too, the force ripping through his lungs, his skin burning from the power, but he didn't let go of Nadia's hand. The masked intruder watched from above, tears filling their eyes as the crater glowed brighter and brighter. And then, silence. A long, heavy, impossible silence. Dust settled. The purple light dimmed. Daniel lay on the floor of the crater, unmoving. Nadia lay beside him, also still. The Guardian below was gone. Students cautiously approached the edge, peering down. The masked intruder rushed into the crater, dropping to their knees beside the two bodies. Nadia, Daniel, please don't do this. A moment passed. Then, Daniel coughed. The intruder gasped. Daniel blinked weakly and turned his head. Nadia. She didn't move. He pushed himself up painfully and touched her face. Nadia, wake up. Nothing. His throat tightened. Nadia, please. But then, her fingers twitched. Daniel froze. Then she exhaled a long, shaky breath. Her eyes opened slowly. Daniel, did we stop it? Daniel broke into a relieved, exhausted smile. Yes, he said softly, you stopped it. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I didn't do it alone. The intruder helped both of them stand as the first hint of dawn appeared over the campus. Students gathered silently, watching the girl they once thought innocent, then feared as a cult leader. Now standing battered but alive with the boy who saved her and the university beside her. Nadia looked around at them, guilt, relief, and quiet acceptance settling into her expression. We survived, Daniel whispered. She nodded with a trembling smile. For now, because even though the guardian was gone, the truth about the university, about her mother, about what lay beneath the campus, was only beginning to unfold. But that was a story for another day. If you were Nadia in this moment, faced with the truth about your past and the weight of your actions, what would you do next? Would you stay on campus or would you walk away? Share your thoughts in the comments. And before you leave, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another powerful story like this.